Hello, 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 folks. Hopefully you're seeing and hearing me nice and clear. Sorry we were 1 minute late coming online. We were just setting up some new things. Thanks to Tom for helping get all of this set up. So let me bring in Stephanie!
I know absolutely nothing about cars, so
You have a
I'm just
car?
basically learning during this.
You have a car? And
Yeah, but
you
not
know
like some of
photos?
these cars that were submitted. It's fancy stuff.
See, now that's the thing. Oh, someone's saying we have an echo. Oh no, let me just double check this.
Oh no,
NDI source needs to be on.
sorry guys. Oh, okay.
How about this one? Now we should have no echo. Am I correct? Someone hit me up? Hello? Oh, there's an echo on Mark. Oh no, there's a Mark in the room.
Oh no.
We sorted then? We should be good now, I think. Okay, so let's pretend that I'll be able to cut that in the post. I never do it, but apparently we can cut that. So, drum roll. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us for this week's Beers and Photos. This week we're looking at your car photos. Thank you to everyone. The chat is blowing right up. Thank you all for joining us. Hope you had a great week. Hit like. Say thanks to Steph for chiming in from Philly. She's had a busy week as well. Jersey, sorry, Philly girl in Jersey.
Same thing. We're neighbors.
Yeah. So this week we got a whole lot of car photos submitted, and as Steph said just before, some really fancy cars. But what makes a great car photo isn't a snapshot of an awesome car, it's an awesome shot of any car. So that's what we're going to be looking for today. Now, just jumping across to show you.
So fancy.
Is inspired by
Oh,
supercars.
that I think your audio cut out. I don't know. According to some people, they say that you can't hear you when the watch is up. They just see the watch.
We did that test before, so bummer. You saw that beautiful watch. I can, whilst we're doing this, add it to the scene and we'll do it on with the tours. Remember we had trouble with this last time and that it was flickering
Yeah.
and we had to leave the watch up the entire time, which then made it seem like I was just trying to put it in people's face for the entire time. Anyway, let me bring it back up. You saw the beautiful watch. That's the A10 in their standard titanium. That's just a brushed titanium with no finishing on it. It's an internationally put together watch with parts from all around the world. The movement is from Hong Kong. It's a titanium body. The Cerakote comes from the States. On and on and on. Anyway, they're up on Indiegogo. They've raised like $700,000 or something, and it's not too late if you want to grab one. They sponsored this week's show of cars because it's meant to be it's inspired by supercars. A supercar on your wrist is kind of the tagline. So, thank you, and sorry for that hitch. You know, we went through and did a test run on everything, and like 5 minutes ago, we had no echoes, and you could hear me behind the watch, and. So I just really love this. And if you want to live stream like a total pro, I just put out a guide on it, which clearly
I know
I
that's
need to
funny.
rewatch
Like
myself.
you did put out a guide on it, so
But it's
maybe
a new
include what
version.
not to do.
Yeah, well, I was in and did an hour-long test last night with Tom, and then we did our 20-minute test just then, and we got everything right, and then it's no longer right. So we're looking and sounding good now. Drink check.
Oh, drink check.
I'm up on the Tremens tonight.
I have Two Roads Peach Jam.
Whoa, what is that? Like is that
Sponsor
iced
us.
tea?
No, it's just an ale brewed with peach and a hint of hibiscus.
Damn girl, you were fancy as hell. Now, in terms of cars, so I did throw up. I did put a question up asking people to submit their questions. So we'll be going through those tonight and looking at your car photos. I am going to be giving away loads of downloads, but again, I want to think of this as like a sharing community chat time rather than a hard out competition per se. Having said that, we got over 100 car entries. I whittled it down to just over 30, I think. And as I say on the page, please send it in at approximately the right size. It can be too big because I have great internet, but if you send like a little 100 pics file, I can't share it. And the other thing, I know I sound like a bit of a stickler here, but please, please, please rename the files. If I get 100 and I have to rename them all and type out all of your details, it's too much, and it already takes me half a day to put this show together. So any that didn't rename their files or sent wildly off in terms of size weren't considered, and then I chose out about 30 great ones. Now,
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, everyone.
My arm's not long enough to reach the camera, but cheers. Oh, this is such a fantastic beer. And because I shouldn't drink and not eat, got some snacks today.
Yeah, but this is what you kind of organized, so we don't have a choice.
No, I have snacks today.
You have snacks? I mean, I do have chips, but I don't want to be on screen just like...
I think you should. I have some brie and some truffle gouda and some
Oh
crackers.
my god, we should do a mukbang episode.
A milk bong?
Mukbang. It's like...
That sounds extra smooth and creamy.
Is it a Japanese or Korean thing?
No, I think maybe it's a Filipino. Doesn't it just mean eating a lot?
Yeah.
Because I did one of them in Hawaii where I titled the video that because it was trending. But anyway. Now I'm kind of worried that when I switch to the images, it's not going to work. So let me just check with everyone so they can give us a little bit of feedback on it. So the first image up here is not one that was submitted by anyone, but let's just see, can you still see and hear the two of us? This is so I'm looking at the comments to see if someone is going to let us know if they can or can't hear us anymore. But growing up, I restored a Datsun 260Z with my father, and it was a great experience. I love that car, and I might even buy one in the future, like a 240 that's already been restored. Then when I was living in Sydney, I bought a 350Z. Didn't get the 280, 300, blah, 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 or the 370, but this is apparently what the 400Z is going to be in 2021. So if I'm somewhere in the world where having a car makes sense,
dang, that's fancy.
It is, but I bet it won't come out with those wheels. The prototype cars always have these ridiculously aerodynamic looking wheels that must just be impractical to make because you never see that kind of wheel actually hit the market. Okay, so it sounds like everyone can see and hear us. That's a good thing. Let me just switch back.
Cool. Oh, so a mukbang is an online audio-visual broadcast in which a host consumes food while interacting with the audience.
Mukbang!
But it's usually like a crap load of food.
Marblehead. Well, this is a crap load of calories with all this cheese.
Jeez.
So, in this episode, we need to decide what our theme for next week is going to be. So, please, folks, submit your suggestions. Like I said, we've got a bunch of great images entered this week. And I'm going to take a look at some questions that we've had sent in already.
Oh yeah, Juan, you're right. Yeah, Matt's channel is pretty much a mukbang.
101 blog asks which car to be modeled in any under 1 million. And that's to Steph. So I guess he means which car would you like to shoot with? I'm not really sure.
I've never done import modeling, so yeah.
Even I have.
Have I ever done? No, I think that's like the one thing that I just haven't done. Yeah.
Pretty good. Good idea. I think you're fine without it.
Hey Matt, I think there's wait, I think there's something in front of the webcam.
Oh, it just fell off. Yeah. So you're
Oh,
probably looking
okay.
at
I
my
was like,
feet
what just
under the
happened?
desk. So before we get into the photos, and whilst I bring up the questions I've had submitted, tell us what you've been up to the last week, Steph.
Basically boring stuff. So like I have just been working on figuring out like marketing and like just things for the business. The only thing that's really exciting that's going on in my life during quarantine is that Joey started us like on Dungeons and Dragons, and we actually have a main quest, and now we have a side quest with some of our other friends that wanted to play. So I'm really excited because we're playing tonight, and I need that break because all I do is just sit here and work and take care of Lucky, and yeah. So really not anything like exciting, just
I can
been on my
tell.
computer working.
I was trying to feign interest like I was watching a game of golf, but I'm glad that you're excited for it.
It's so fun. Dungeons and Dragons is so fun.
Well, I won't be offended that I didn't get an invite then. So, Azanturi asking, when have you ever used or were you ever a fan of push-pull zooms? Yeah, I've used some in my time. I'm old. And I think there's still a Canon L lens that's a push-pull zoom. Steph, both of us, what makes
Oh,
the both of you laugh whilst on a shoot?
I feel like there's a lot of things, usually stupid stuff.
Almost always, yeah.
Yeah. Like the stupider the better, I guess.
So, a lot.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe eating biscuits, maybe you're right, eating biscuits and stuff on camera, it's getting a little bit ASMR or something.
I mean, those people make money. Like the ASMR stuff. I sure.
Would you take Steph to Iceland and take photos of her on a horse? Is that a hypothetical, or are you actually asking us to do that holiday Lolita? That would depend if Steph wants to ride a horse. The Icelandic horses
Sure.
are probably the easiest to ride. We have a trip to Iceland half planned already. Horses weren't on the agenda, but stopping every couple of kilometers on the side of the road to ooh and ah and pet horses definitely would be. So let's see.
Mhm. Doesn't help with this whole coronavirus, but yeah, that's the plan.
Well, Iceland isn't under lockdown. They have very few cases. It's just a matter of getting there. So if anyone has a private jet they want to fly us over that's been sanitized, let us know.
Dang, if you have a private jet, just shout out because that's crazy. That's so cool.
One asking, when are you planning for India? Let me know. Would love to join. I appreciate that. Whenever I've mentioned that I'm thinking to go to India, I know I have a big community there. But I get a lot of people who are in India who would love to join, but don't want to join a tour. They just want to come with me. So when I first go, I'll probably just be traveling by myself or with some fixers or friends. And then I'll still try to do some meetups, that kind of thing. So let's start having a look at these pictures. If you've got them handy, Steph will go through in alphabetical order. I just realized I've had all of the pictures up on screen this whole time. This studio mode is confusing. I'm looking at the big picture, but it's already up. So here we go. First one. I don't even really know this car, but I'm guessing it's a British one. And I saw that it had been renamed to Allard, and I thought that was the person's name, and then didn't join the dots. So this actually wasn't renamed properly, so I probably shouldn't have included it. But you've been watching it for the last 2 minutes, so here we go. Let's blame that on the delirium. So we had, like I said, a whole lot of shots of really cool cars that were shot totally as snapshots that weren't really creatively lit or great angles or odd compositions. But I felt like this one, I don't know what the whole car actually looks like, but I do feel like this is a nice slice of the overall car to give you a sense of what it looks like. And the raindrops and everything works with this black and white treatment. What do you think? Pretty,
The
Steph?
composition is nice. And I guess like in terms of like the film industry, water or water droplets, that's like production value. I don't know,
Uh-huh.
it's just a thing. So I like that it's framed this way. I don't know much about cars, but it's like I want more. It's like a tease. Is that weird?
I get you. Next one here from Brian Argyle. Now, this one, we did get several entries of old vintage cars, but they were just snapshots. This one, I actually feel, has had a lot of effort go into it. So, yes, it's a unique car. You don't see the wood paneled cars anymore. That one looks like it's beautifully been restored. Kind of a mix between hot rod and old world in my limited knowledge of cars. But then having it positioned at the old petrol station at twilight with the lights, the car headlights and the overhead lights, the rich blues coming in from the sky. It's just a beautiful time of day, and the edit hasn't been overdone. So whilst in a sense it's kind of a simple shot, I think it works really well. I think you could just improve the composition that little bit if you, well, I can't do everything on here because, you know, as it's shot is as it's shot. But if you were to step slightly to your left and maybe a little back and zoom in a little, you could take it off fixed proportions. You could bring this in so it's just to the door. You could bring this in so it's just to the side of that building. And then we've got that bit at the bottom of the frame we don't need, and we're cropping off just the top. But kind of this frame, if it moved up and caught the top of the scene, I think cleans it up just that little bit around the edges and puts all the attention right on the car.
I like how the car is wood and then it says Woody's Rainforest and Woody's Service. I like the placement of the words.
I didn't even pick up on that. Nicely done. I wonder if Woody is the guy who submitted it. This is another one. I feel like Wigwam Motel is on the Route 66 drive, and a lot of those old hotels have old cars parked out front as photo ops, and this is another one. It's actually the exact same feedback. I think stepping back to your left with a longer lens and getting, you could potentially hide this Nissan behind the Chevy truck, and you could get rid of this car park across the street and instead actually have a wigwam in the frame. But again, a fairly nice time of day, probably half an hour earlier would be even better. But it looks like there's another vintage car in here as well, so maybe that angle would actually bring up a bit more out of it.
It's a lot of green everywhere.
It is
Sorry.
Green, yeah. Anyone in the chat, let us know your thoughts. The authors of these shots may be in the room as well, so it's always nice to get some feedback from the community. And dang it, this one is also not titled correctly. Car parts. Well, it's better than 0010101.jpg or something.
That is true.
It's descriptive at least. And having downloaded them, I can at least tell by the name that it's for the competition. This is another familiar scene along Route 66, the old decaying car parts along the side of the road. Are wreckers still a big thing in the States, you know, where you can go and buy old car parts, or is it like Australia that now pretty much something gets written off and then it's just compacted and thrown away?
I honestly have no idea, but I do notice that there's like a spider web within the frame of the window. It's cool.
Yeah, true.
I mean, I don't like spiders; they scare me. But in spider webs, ugh.
Yeah.
But I think it looks cool.
I think this kind of a place is going to be rife with spiders and spider webs. Is that Lucky in the background?
Yeah, he's coughing and sneezing. Old man.
This is one that I think it's an interesting frame. I do think the framing is off though. Again, we've got space at the bottom. We're cropping the headlights off. We've got space at the left, but we're cropping the logo off. It can really be hard knowing where to frame it, and having not been there, it's sometimes hard to know what really your options were. But to my eye, it feels too wide or too tight, but more to the point, could do with going up and to the right a little bit.
Is this taken at like a car show or something? It's a lot of people. Oh, sorry, just looking at the reflection of the.
Yeah, I imagine so. And if we go in here, or at least a car park, there's quite a. Oops, that's the wrong way. There's quite a few that are. Why are you doing this to me, car? There you go. Yeah, maybe. It may be on the front row of a car show on a dirt lot. See a tripod there as well. Let's switch out and just see what other questions we've had come through. So another one that I feel like we get the similar kind of questions, which means, because I'm telling the truth, you get similar kind of answers. Asking about the Nikon Z7, Z8, and D890. So as far as I know, the Z7 is a camera. I've used it. The Z8 and the D890, as far as I know, aren't cameras. I haven't even read a rumor on them, so I have no idea. If they have said something about it, then check it out at nikon.com, but I don't know about that. Come on, buddy, catch your breath. So I've had someone ask, what's the theme for next week? So we need some suggestions. What about, I just saw the words in the chat, how about hard light? Let's make the theme hard light. So if anyone is, go and shoot it, or find a little shard of light, or go through your archive. Whatever it is, make sure that the fact that it has hard light is what's making the overall shot work, and that will be our theme. So let's just do that. Hard light will be our theme for next week. How's Puppy? He okay?
He's good. Just wanted attention.
Oh, he's got a little bandana.
Oh, so cute.
Was he born in the USA? Oh, Puppy. Okay, so there we go. Hard light, excellent. Let's check out our next image.
I did it, I burped.
I would have waited until you were minimized on screen for that. I'm shocked. Steph is always such a lady. I've never heard her do anything as inappropriate as that. My goodness.
Oh my God, never.
Well, sorry to shatter illusions, folks. I mean, I'm just going to be sick in my mouth a little bit. And let's switch to this one, which I'm guessing may be one of your favorites. I find a little funny, from Connie. Now, what I dig about it, instantly when I looked at it, I was like, oh, it reminds me of what's that movie? Oh, the movie's called Cars. So,
yeah, I was going to say, how did you not know? I just don't remember the character's name.
So, I don't know, you would have looked through my Route 66 book that I made when I did it with Dad. There's this wild maniac of a guy who played music, and we drank with him in the middle of the day and blah, blah, blah. He is actually what the crazy pickup truck apparently is based on. He had the plaque in his shop that from Pixar, and he was invited to the premiere. That a lot of that is, the characters are actually based on regional eccentric characters in that part of America. So how about that?
What? That's so cool.
Oh, so for the shot, it's covered in like lint, which looks like dust or rust, so that kind of works. As a concept and as a way to fill some time whilst we're all locked indoors, shooting some macros like this is a cool idea. I don't think it's actually, technically a great shot. The focus is too limited, and it's kind of hard to tell, but it looks like you've put the eyes in. I don't know. I think it's a fun and playful shot. I included it for that, not because I think it's like a technically brilliant shot. Switching back, Yeah.
Oh, it's not Meter, guys. Meter is the tow truck one. This one is the very old lady car that was flirty that Dion Chapman said. Just don't remember her name.
Okay. Um, for the someone asked, can I explain hard light a little bit more? So basically, when you're thinking about hard versus soft light, or what I'll be looking for in this competition, is hard light means hard shadows. From a technical standpoint, that means it's a small light source, but essentially right now I'm very softly lit. The contrast between the highlights and the shadows on my face, so shadows are under my chin, highlights are probably my big bald forehead. There's not a big contrast ratio. A hard light is where you have like dark blacks, bright highlights. It's a high contrast shot. As we go through these shots today, I'll let you know which ones are harder or softer light. The cars themed cars shot was pretty much a soft light shot. So I'm getting some flack in the comments from not having properly vetted all of the shots file names. Just so you know, I do that vetting because it saves me time. It doesn't actually impact you, so you can get off your high horse about that. It's just a matter of trying to whittle it down so when I need to find out who the winners were, I don't then have to go through that, and that I can give them appropriate props in the video. That this next shot, for example, was taken by Daniel Swain, now it's a name I can't pronounce, Swain Pole. Now, I don't know if this is, it kind of looks like it could be California, but it kind of also looks like it could be Namibia or something. So, what did you think of this, Steph?
Those are funky trees.
Funky trees, yeah.
Sorry, I don't know. It's the first thing that I noticed besides the cars, I guess. But I like the composition of it. I love the sky. It looks really pretty. And then, I mean, obviously, like the cars. I just wish we knew where this was. This looks really cool. Maybe Nevada.
Maybe.
But then again, I don't know. No, I don't know where those trees are.
They're not Joshua. No, they're not Joshua trees.
Well, I guess Namibia, yeah.
I don't know. It's fun. It's quirky. We've got 3 cool cars in it. Maybe working on a composition where we could block the logs in the background and have the 3 cars more clearly shown, or focusing just on the one. But overall, I think it works nicely. Now this one, Eric Bowden. Ooh la! This really reminds me of what the watch, our sponsor, was based on. Definitely kind of supercar material. Can anyone from the outline tell what kind of car this is? What if I cheat and just bump the exposure a whole lot?
Wait, let them guess first.
Well, guess. Hurry, guess.
I feel like you could also take
a Lamborghini Huracan, and maybe a model car.
I don't know.
Well, in any case, I think it works really nicely with that little edge light. Working your way around a car like this that's a really great way, I think, to give it a lot of mystery, but to give a sense of the shape of it. And in a sense, you could consider this a hard light because we've got bright highlights and super dark shadows. So our contrast ratio is there. Someone saying Aventador, Murcielago, McLaren, P1. Looks too big to be a P1, isn't it? I don't know. Eric's.
Wait, if this was a toy car, I would be so impressed.
You say that, but then when we had something to celebrate and I said I thought I might buy a sports car for my birthday, Kate bought me that remote control Lamborghini. So when you get given a toy car, it's not quite as cute. There you go. Eric is in the chat. It is a toy car, 1/24th the size. Brilliant shot, man.
That is awesome. That is really awesome. I mean, that's really cool because you could literally take photos at home. So, I mean...
So that's something cool to keep in mind. If you've ever seen car photography, if that were a real Lambo, they would have had like a 12 or 20 softbox on the roof lighting it. But if you're using your toy car, where's a good point for contrast, you only need basically a flash head at minimum power, and then the size of the light source is the size of it relative to what you're shooting. So if you're shooting a toy car that's 1/24th the size, to get the same result, you only need a light that's 1/24th the size as well. So yeah, nicely done, Eric. I'm just going to say
that's
now,
really good.
however this plays out, you're one of the prize winners. That's a really great shot, nice and creative. Not to put anyone else off, there'll be more winners coming. Frank Ranner so that's the one signature again and again and again. It's not a bunch of them. So it's W, what's it say? Rolil? Anyone? What's that say?
Yeah, I guess. Roll.
So what are we looking at there? Is that an old Porsche? Or do you say Porsche or Porsche here in the States?
Porsche? Is it supposed to be Porsche?
I don't know, but you guys say Nike, right?
Yeah.
And in Australia,
Wait, how do
we
you say Nike?
Well, I'm adapting, but just Nike.
Nike?
And what about the other sports brand? Adidas.
Adidas?
I grew up saying Adidas.
Oh my god, well, it's a joke with my friends. We're like Adidas, but what?
Okay, so we're saying Porsche. Good call, Mouse C. It does remind you of Bart Simpson doing his homework at the start of the episode, doing all the lines. Look, I think it's a cool shot. I personally think, so looking at our histogram, top right here, that we could definitely bring the highlights up a little. That's going to give us more contrast. We've got nice, deep, rich blacks already, so we could just bring our highlights and whites up a little.
Oh, it's Porsche.
Like De Rossi. Very good, very good. Okay, so this one from Frank Sora. I dig it, but I really don't. I dig the vehicle, but I don't dig the edit. This looks like it was shot in the middle of the day, and you've done a really rough job to black out all of the background to keep it, darkly lit. I don't think this, well, it could have been lit by a flash, but still the way this has been, dodged and burned roughly around the edges is a bit too rough. I think if you were trying to print it as like a piece of wall art to, just put up as a piece of graphic art, then it works. But the blackout is, I think it needs a bit more work to make it look realistic.
It's so dark. Black is so dark, it looks cropped.
Yes.
Or like a UFO is about to take it up, and it's just a one beam of light.
This next one from Greg Simpson Mokwa. This is the truck in the snow. It reminds me of what's that recent movie? With, who's that guy you have a crush on, Kate? Leo DiCaprio. What's the name of that movie where he had the beard and had Tom, what's his name, and...
I don't know. Somebody's gonna get it in the chat. I believe in you guys. I'm not very good at movie titles or names.
Okay, as we think of that, not Fargo.
Revenant?
Yes,
Fargo?
Thank you, Revenant.
See, I told you. Gotta believe in everybody here.
Come on, Fargo. Pfft, Leo, come on now. Okay. LA thing. All right, so let's have a look at a few more questions here. Let's see some questions for Stefano. Chris is saying, any chance of seeing Tyson tonight? She is asleep in the chair over there, but I don't know that I would bring her over just now. Maybe once all the breakables are off the table. But she's been super sweet lately. If anyone
Don't
gives me
jinx it.
no, I don't. No offense, but shut up. I don't believe in jinxing. Um, you give me any excuse and I'll talk about the cats. She has been so sweet and lovely. She's out lovelying Loki lately. I think she's happy to have us around more.
Aw.
Um, Edwin Goldenberg. I'm taking a street photography course. I'm so jealous. You're outside. What's the best lens? Like anything, it depends on. So let me answer this in the most helpful way without snobbery.
I will be right back.
Okay, bye. I have a personal preference for shooting street, but it's personal, so it's not that it's necessarily going to suit you. I love 28mm for that kind of shooting. However, a lot of people like wider, a lot of people like 35mm, 50mm, some people shoot with even longer than that. So I would say if you're just starting to do a course and you only want to take one lens, just take something like a 24-70 or the equivalent and go through, and then at the end of it, see which focal length you tended to shoot the most of the shots at, and then go with that one. It's people talk about that it needs to be as small as possible to do street photography. I don't really believe that. I think it's this movement that makes people realize you're taking a photo and they may react. I really don't think it makes a difference if it's a prime lens this big or a zoom lens this big on the front of your camera. And Stephanie is back, so let me transition. Look at that, just like magic. 101
Sorry,
blog.
like he gets really like, since we're home all the time, he's just like, okay, it's time to feed me now. I will stare at you and I will bark at you. So feed me. And I don't want him to start barking, so I might as well just feed him.
It's funny, Kate said the same thing about me to one of her friends recently. 101 blog asking what breed of cat for number 3. One, we're not planning to get a third cat. Our building doesn't allow it. And 2, we don't really get down with breeds of cats. We go with rescues. So if we were to get another one, it would be one that we connected with at a shelter somewhere. Again, not meaning to be judgy, I totally almost got a Persian last year, which I didn't know. I thought Persian was a breed, but apparently they can just pop up because there was 2 Persians in a litter of 6 to a mother that was non-Persian. But it was so cute. But again, our building only allows you to have 2 pets, which is so dumb because one of our neighbors has a Great Dane and a Boxer, and that counts as 2 pets, and then my 2 cats also counts as... Anyway, getting back to the questions. Jeez. You remember Roman, that giant Great Dane?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huge.
That's
a horse.
Photorescent. Is implied nude accepted for the hard light thing? That's actually a good question. Hard light is great for implied nudes because the light and shadow itself can reveal and conceal, which is one of the concepts I always go on about. And reminder, you can check out the interview we did with Frederick Van Johnson. That's over on my website. So as long as it's implied, yes, because YouTube, I'm not offended by it, Steph's not offended by it. If the theme was implied nudes, then I wouldn't have any problem. But for the audience, if someone clicks in and they are offended by that kind of thing, they may flag it. And at the moment, YouTube is relying more on self-declaration. So when I choose this, to start this, I have to say, is this made for children or not? And does it include anything offensive or not? So as long as it doesn't include anything that gets people hot and bothered, then yes, it's fine by me. Let's go back to the pictures and the shot from Greg Simpson and the shot that for some reason reminds me of Revenant or Fargo, whichever one you want to go with. Transition. Okay. So let's go to fit the screen.
Oh yeah, Jean just mentioned the interview with Frederick. Yeah, if you guys haven't seen it yet, that was just released too. So you guys gotta go check that out.
Oh, did I not mention that already? Yes, that's what I was just saying 30 seconds ago. The interview
Oh,
with
okay.
Frederick. It's an hour and 10 minutes long. Steph and I filmed it quite a while ago, and it just went live during the week. And he's talking to us about shooting implied from the photographer and the model's perspective, and we got into topics like, is nude photography art, or how it's perceived in America, that kind of thing. So I think it went really well. To be honest, I need to rewatch it myself. It was quite a while ago we filmed it, and I can't remember everything that we covered. So this one, it's funny. It looks to me like the whites are almost lost already, but on our histogram they're not. Yeah, I think it's nice. Maybe, what do you think on this one, Steph? I'm thinking maybe coming
I
in
feel like
closer with
wider.
the wider. Yeah, I was thinking either having it lost in the white to show how isolated it is, or
Mhm.
coming in closer to have it kind of fill up the frame with the trees in the background.
I
What
like this untouched snow, so I kind of would prefer just to see a wider shot, but that's just me.
And then just keep walking back and then turn around and just shoot the snow. Forget the car,
Yeah.
just shoot the snow. Or you shoot the snowmobile that you rode in on. Yeah. Perfect. Okay. Our next one here from Ian Knight. Now, I wonder if this is why guys like cars. Is it because they picture themselves being Formula One champions surrounded by models and the paparazzi?
I feel like maybe towards the adrenaline and then just the incentive. It's like, oh, it's just a plus to have the girls and cameras and cars.
Yeah, I was really joking. But I feel like there is a big crossover between people who like certain types of cameras and certain types of cars and just mechanical things in general. And having a beautifully engineered something appeals to a lot of people.
How many cameras and lenses can you name?
What?
No, it's just like in this shot, how many cameras and lenses can you name?
You're such a nerd. Well, I tell you what, I see a Canon point and shoot in this guy's hand. Look at this guy rocking it old school. That's a power shot right there, boy. So when was this one taken, Mr. Knight? In '08? This guy's using an old manual flash, sorry. And what do we got? Big old L lens. I don't know, is that a 16 to 35 or something? And a lovely wristwatch. And that's the 85D lens, I think they're on a D, I don't know what. There's lots of great lenses there. Big old, looks like a Nikon lens up in the top corner. Oh, is that guy using a Pentax? Represent, boy.
I feel like I would watch a whole like live stream with you just kind of like looking at photos like this of paparazzi and then just trying to name as many cameras and lenses as possible.
I feel like you say that, but that you would lose interest in 30 seconds and, sorry, Lucky needs to
No,
be
I
fed
would want to
again.
keep a tally just to see like, oh, this is research. How many people use Nikon? How many people use this for paparazzi shots?
In that picture, it looks like a fairly even spread. I'd say a bit ahead for Canon, and a decent mix of pit crew using point and shoots and press. You can see the ones who have the actual press jackets on. Oh, and look at that. The two young guys on the podium with their caps from their sponsors and all the models. And then you've got the other Audi team here with their balding heads and no love from the press. Oh, that's really tough. That's really tough. Let's take a look at two more. Now this I really loved. Jess and Joe Photography. You guys have been killing it. They won one of the competitions recently. I feel like this is lovely. People have a romance and a love affair with cars themselves, but me at least, I don't know about other people, I do still think about cars when I was 16, 18, 21, 25, and it's that nostalgia of what you were doing in your life at that time, that they must, if this were actually not a stage shot, I know Jess and Joe do wedding photography, but if this were a real thing, thinking back to kissing your husband or wife in the Mustang after the wedding, you know, you would have such fond memories for that car because of that memory. And I actually think this is beautifully done. If we get technical, then I think the flash in the car is a bit too bright considering the headlight light. It's kind of blown out her neck, but I don't think this is about technical details. I personally think that's a beautiful shot, and that will be another prize winner. We'll work out the prizes at the end. Did this strike you, Steph?
Oh, Jess and Joe are actually here. Jess and Joe Photography. Oh,
Nicely done.
it's really nice. It's so cute.
Oh. Okay, so that's too wide. Oh, there you go. Kieran. Why does it keep zooming too far? So comparing it to the last one, you know, as the amount of effort that goes into a shot like this to make it so focused, logo, lights, reflections, couple, so much goes into it. Whereas a shot like this is kind of overhead light, headlights on the car, and whichever car park you can go to. And to be honest, I think you can tell the difference in the amount of effort that's gone into the shot. I don't really think this is a car shot. Well, for one, I think the number plate's in focus, so the model and the car are both kind of out of focus. But to be honest, this is probably the kind of reason why Steph doesn't do import modeling. It's not really a portrait, it's not really about the car, and it's very hard for a model. Import shots always seem to be, look as sexy as you can on this car, which is just not something you do, sit on a car and look sexy. So I've never seen an import shot where I thought this is about the car, or this is about the model, or the model looks comfortable and sexy. It's always, there's a beautiful woman, and there's a car, and they're in the same shot.
Yep. I feel that.
I would say to lift it, then just try and more carefully light her. It looks kind of haphazardly lit. I do think, given the overall scene, the arrows on either side of the car, there is potential here, and I think her positioning in the shot is pretty much the right one for this. But if you were to light her properly and put a strong light on her, you could bring down a lot of the ambient in the car park to just the point lights, and I think that could be a much more interesting shot. So keep working it, and maybe something you can get halfway to in edit. Now this one from John Sullivan. Do you think of this as a photo or what?
It looks more like a painting. But
yeah, so I love
I like the reflections in the bumper though.
Yeah, so it really reminds me like it could have been taken at the same event as that white, was it a Cadillac? What was it? At the beginning with the reflections as well. So I think if we were to compare the one in the... So there's basically three shots that spring to mind that I think are trying to do the same thing and just taking really different approaches at it. That one, the white car from the beginning, where I said the crop, they're basically using crop to isolate from distraction. The one where I said they had just blacked out all of the background. And then this, where they've cut it out and then applied like a watercolor effect to it. So it's obviously come from a photo. Like if you were to enter this into a photography competition, unless it was in the creative category, they would probably not accept it because it's too far removed. This is one that I definitely think would look quite cool as like a 3-car series printed on the wall. I think the line here, I'm not going to discourage people from entering this kind of stuff in future. I think it's cool to see this and it's interesting to think about for your own photography. But for me, it's probably gone more towards being a piece of Photoshop art than a photograph anymore. Because if you took away all of the textures and layers and droplets that weren't in the shot, then I don't think it has nearly the appeal that it does here. So let's switch back and take a look at some questions. Any more questions come in there? One you want to send through? Thank you for this again, as usual. Someone asked Richard Wintle, Oh, I like your name. Any chance of a Canada visit? I feel like someone asked a long time ago and you weren't so enthusiastic. You may be right. I don't remember that. Maybe I was in a bad mood or something, or maybe that was when I was in Australia and Canada was a long, long way away. Or maybe it's that now I'm in quarantine and would love to go anywhere. But no,
Yeah.
I've been to Canada once and I loved it. And I would love to explore more of it. It seems like such a beautiful country, and almost to a person, every Canadian I've met seems really fun and nice and like much more polite versions of Australians, basically. So yeah, I would love to explore more of Canada. It's the only thing would be that it's so huge with not, what is it, the size of America or something, but with so fewer people, I don't really know where to go or where to start. So let me know what you think. I think Mouse C may be just trying to take the piss one, so I won't answer that one. What else do we have? Come up and visit. I would love to. Apparently there's loads of YouTube photography reviewers. I didn't know that. I know the camera store, but who else is Canadian? Maybe there's others that I didn't realize were Canadian. Steph,
Yes.
serious question. Put your thinking cap on. If lockdown stays for another year, which 5 famous people would you choose to spend the time with? And I'm assuming there's hidden cameras in the house and this is now going to be a Big Brother reality show. That's where my mind went. So 5 famous people. No limits. Go!
Okay, Jet Li, Jackie Chan, Max Zhang, Sammo Hung, and to change it up, Chris Hemsworth, because I like looking at him.
So you have 4 badasses who are going to be stuck in a house alone with you for a year. There's going to be some fights.
Oh yeah, that's the plan. Definitely.
Okay, so out of those 5, Chris Hemsworth's obviously an amazing actor, a total beefcake, and a very good-looking man. I don't know if he can actually fight, but out of the other 4, who do you think in a street brawl is going to win?
Ooh. Oh man, that is so hard.
Jackie can take a punch, but he's getting on. Jet Li, I don't even know how old he is. Sammo Hung, I bet, can still take a punch, but he's got to be carrying a few pounds.
They're all kind of old now. It's just,
You got your money on Hemsworth then? One just said Chris would feel so out of place. Imagine being...
I know he would be.
Everyone speaks different languages, but you're just like trying to get martial arts tips 12 hours a day for a year.
Yeah.
And he's just texting his agent, why am I here?
Well, Chris Hemsworth's just there because I just want to look at him because he's fine.
That's offensive.
I don't think I can really decide who would survive, I guess, between all of them. Because, man, yeah, I can't. But would love to meet all of them. I mean, I'm okay with, like, not meeting Chris Hemsworth because I just like looking at him and whatnot.
So you could have a poster.
Watched his new movie?
Extraction.
Yeah. Oh, it's really good.
Yeah, I watched it. And Jason, who's in the chat, was the set photographer for it.
What?
Yeah, he just left a message that he's worked with all of the 4 that you just mentioned. The 5.
Hey,
Okay, so now she's going to replace one of the lesser martial artists with Jason just to get stories.
Yeah, basically. Yes.
So where is it? Thomas just said, I was saying who are the Canadian photography YouTubers. Chris Nichols, Jordan Drake, I knew them.
Oh, yeah.
Gerald Undone, of course I know, I've seen some of his videos. I didn't realize he was Canadian. He seems like, again, a lovely guy. Peter McKinnon, I did know he's Canadian. I'd forgotten him. Camera Conspiracies, I did know that he's Canadian, and I had forgotten that he's Canadian as well. So there you go. DP caption moments. What part of Brooklyn are you from? I think from my accent you can tell I'm from very, very southern Brooklyn. I'm Australian. I come from southwest regional New South Wales in Australia. I've only lived in Williamsburg in Brooklyn, and only for 2.5 years, so I can't say that I'm from Brooklyn. We had a year in Manhattan, then 2.5 years in Brooklyn, and here we are. Okay, so 101 blog is asking what 5 people I'd hang with for a year.
Ooh.
He didn't say celebrities though, so I can just choose friends. That's even better. I'm going to think about that whilst we look at some
All
pictures.
cats.
Yeah, it didn't say people. It did say people.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's take a look. What have you got on for next week, Steph?
Working from home. Pretty much. The same old stuff. I think Joy and I were just going to be working more on our feature film scripts, which we were going to plan to shoot this year, but from the looks of it, we might have to move it to next year just to play it safe, unfortunately.
So you guys are working completely remotely, or is it only Timmy that you see at the moment?
Yeah, Timmy's the only one that I see at the moment. He goes to work and he comes home, and because he's a pharmacist, I don't feel comfortable meeting up with people because, I mean, I could be infected. He goes to work and like I could be exposed to it. It's not worth the risk. So I like literally stay in as much as possible.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Hopefully not too much longer. I have so many trips planned for you, me, us. Once it's safe.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a look at some more pickies here. So, Jonathan Hui. How do you say H-U-I, Kate?
No.
How do you pronounce H-U-I? Hui? Who? Jonathan Hu. Here we have a Lamborghini squaring up against a Mercedes. I can't really tell if this has just motion blur or a little bit of zoom blur in it as well. I'll say there was only really one or maybe 2 shots entered that had really effective panning, where you have the vehicle sharp and the background blurred, which I was really surprised by. I do feel like you get a really nice sense of movement in this, but it would be that much better if there were some parts that were like really pin sharp. Yeah, what do you think, Steph? Which of those cars would you choose in a drag race?
I don't know. I just like driving, but I don't know anything about cars. I do tend to speed though, so
So black and orange or white then, I guess, is the choice.
I guess black and orange.
Black and orange. Okay, I shouldn't sing. Okay, let's jump into our next one. Thanks for that entry, Jonathan. Ken Eddy. Okay, what an epic. I think that's a Stingray. I mean, what makes it for me, sometimes you think the background's too busy or whatever, but so I don't think this is just a cool car with people standing around looking at it. We had a lot of shots of that, of just here's a cool car and here's someone walking past, or here's me trying to eliminate the distractions. But the fact that it's got the bomb, I don't want to misspeak, but the planes in the background, and you've got 2 guys who look like they're pilots, and it's all put together really nicely. I feel like it overall tells a cool story, and it's an epic car. God, that would be one that I would love to own if I could. 427. Whew. You should get one of them, Steph. You couldn't fill it with so much shit in the trunk if you had one that small.
Oh my, yeah, but I need to have space for all the shit.
You do not need 30 bottles of water and 10 bags of chips in the back of your car. You just... Well, you don't at the moment because you're not driving much.
That is true, but at the moment. But why would I get a car and not drive it? So therefore, I need a car that I can drive and have a lot of space in the back.
Well, look at this one. It's got a trailer, so you can carry all your shit in the back and drive something with a bit of class, woman. Says the guy
Yeah,
with
but
no
I
car.
wouldn't want to have a nice car and carry like a trailer behind it. That doesn't make any sense.
Compared to a nice car with the back half being an SUV. Anyway. Kencast. Now, if this were any other shot, I wouldn't dig the edit on it, but I feel like with this car, it kind of works. You've got an overall theme going on. It looks like a vintage race of some kind. I don't know. I think that one overall works pretty well.
Yeah.
The tonal range, the color cast on it, the slight Dutch tilt that you've got going on, I think it looks, yeah, I think it all works together. What do you guys think? Steph's nodding, so I'm just going to take that as a
Yeah, I like
absolutely,
it. I
Matt.
can't explain why, but I like it. It's just, details are nice.
The Flying Dutchman. Oh, and it's a Dutch tilt. Perfect. Okay, so questions. Chowdhury Kabir. It was great seeing you at WPPI in February. Seems like that was a lifetime ago. How was the convention for you this year? Thanks for joining us, Chowdhury. Hope I'm saying your name correctly. It does feel like a lifetime ago. So WPPI, that was my first time at the show, and we were there for a morning. It was just Jonathan and I. And then we were running around location scouting, and then that night, Steph and my wife both arrived for us to film the Natural Light series. And
That was literally forever ago. That's crazy.
I know, and you know, at the time we were taking all these precautions, wearing masks on the plane, getting dirty looks from the airline hostess because why are you wearing a mask? You know, not touching anyone anywhere we went in Vegas and being so careful, and then like 3 weeks later, the whole country kind of locked down. It was, well, maybe 6 weeks, I don't know. But
Well, I'm happy we finished the series at least. Jesus.
I am too, but I'm more happy that we didn't catch or pass anything in all of that.
Yeah.
It's this is going to pass, and we'll have time to work and catch up on all of this stuff later. I get it, if you're broke and can't feed your family, you want to get back to work. But from a national or a state perspective, you got to do it when the time's right. And I don't know. I guess it depends on perspective, right? Let's take a look at this next one, and then I'm going to do 2 here, and then we'll get back to some questions because I feel like we're a bit light on questions. So another Porsche, apparently, from Kim Burke. So I'm not sure if the foreground right has been desaturated, but overall the color treatment I think kind of works. It's all pushed towards the blues. The reds and oranges have been desaturated or not as pumped as the green anyway. Certainly puts the attention on the car. And I see
I like this car.
It's got a roll cage, so I think you need it at that speed. And the trunk I don't think is going to hold your requirements, but
I don't think so either, but it's pretty.
I think you would outrun the police trying to give you a speed ticket in that thing. Wow.
Oh,
And that's
like the sound of
an
that.
Australian car. Well, it's not an Australian car, but it's Australian number plates. And I guess it probably feels like you've taken LSD, Jesus, LSD if you're driving that thing. Sorry, reading text at the same time. One more here from Late Stevens. I think this is Australia as well. Beautiful. And so there's another one for you with a roll cage and a trailer as well. Maybe less of the one you want.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no distractions. It's different, interesting looking vehicle. Makes me wonder where you are in the world exactly. Some funny haloing around the antenna. That's probably just because you brought the exposure and saturation of the sky down and then up. Yeah, nicely done, Laith. It's let us know where in Australia or wherever it was that one taken. Let's jump back in and look at some more questions. The steering wheel's on the wrong side. Ugh, you guys and your attention to detail. Good one. The trunk is the boot. Yes, 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 on the Porsche. Okay, questions. Proudest mechanical repair or hack, car or otherwise? So have a think if you have any mechanical hacks that spring to mind of things you've worked around. I don't know about hack, but when we were restoring my old 260Z, we replaced everything. Traded out the carburetors for different Webers, had the dash completely remolded and refitted, pretty much completely rebuilt the engine. But to be honest, that was one of those, I saw a meme of it recently when sons learn how to work on a car with their dad. They're basically holding a torch and being yelled at for not pointing it at the right place. So it was a little bit of that, but it was a lot of great bonding. What about you? Are you mechanically minded, actually?
No, not really. I mean, I know how to change a car tire, which is
That's an
apparently
important
impressive
hack.
for a female.
I don't know if this is an insult or a compliment, but I'm not really impressed by that, but I'm glad that you can do it, seeing you often drive to see
Yeah,
me.
I don't know. I guess it's just a thing, like, a lot of women, at least, like, people that I went to college with, when it comes to changing a car tire, they have no idea where to even start.
Oh, so
Or
it's
even
women who are
sometimes,
impressed with that. Okay, I was thinking it was
I don't know, they
condescending
didn't
men.
even know that they had a spare tire in the back of their car.
Okay,
Whatever.
I have a spare
Anyways,
tire
yeah.
right here. Boom. Fat jokes. Okay. Do you have a favorite painting, Steph?
Favorite painting?
Or
I don't know, I'm not
outside
really an
of...
artsy person. I feel like I'm very I guess the best way to describe me is like I'm practical, I'm very minimalistic, and just very career focused. So my hobbies are pretty much like things that I do for work, and work is just things that I enjoy. So
Yeah.
uh I like
So,
painting so far. I painted with Timmy the other night.
did
Actually, I want to
you
do that again soon. But
did you do
oil
any more?
painting, like, it takes forever to dry. Like,
Uh-huh.
it's been days and it's still wet.
So the question was actually about how it's impacted my photography, but I wonder, so maybe you're not that into art, but when you look at art, or when you happen to see it in passing, do you find that you're generally more attracted to paintings or photos or sculptures or...
I like taking photos, actually. Yeah.
as an art
But I
form?
think that's also because from modeling, I like learned what I like to see from behind the camera too. So
So Christopher's question was about my favorite style of painting and how it affected my photography style. I think I don't know that I even have a particularly favorite painting or style. There's a couple of Rembrandts that I really, really like, but when I look around galleries and see, this isn't meant as any kind of a political statement or something, I'm not meaning to offend anyone, but when I look at the old Renaissance and religious paintings, I generally really don't like the subjects that are being painted, but the way they work with light is really intriguing, and seeing the small point lights and how the light is radiated in the shadow. I don't know that it directly impacts how I shoot, but it certainly, I find it inspiring and like impressive. Yeah. Let's do one more and then we'll jump back in. Glacier activity. In your experience in Burma, brackets, or Cuba, etc., how would you tackle your own challenge of a car as a dweller in New York? I'm not sure exactly what you're asking. I've never been to Burma, and I don't know what you mean by tackle my challenge of a car.
Matt does not have a car in New York.
I do not. I can't afford a car park, let alone a car. We have one other one, Thomas Phelps. Wasn't he the guy from America who won all of the gold medals for swimming?
It is a Phelps.
Michael. Okay. He wants to know, would Steph ever ride a motorcycle?
I have ridden on a motorcycle with my friend before, but I don't know how to actually ride it. I actually do enjoy being on the back of a motorcycle. It's really fun. It's really nice. I don't even know how to ride a bike, like a normal bicycle, let alone like ever ride a motorcycle on my own. So
I wonder actually if you need to know how to do one to do the other, because the center of gravity on a motorbike is obviously a lot more stable and there's less of you moving to ride a motorbike. But there you go. So Timmy, cough, 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 she loves to ride passenger on a motorbike.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's take a look at a couple more here. This one from Mark Meyer. One of the few shots that was kind of a successful panning shot. You can see here, this isn't meant as a criticism, Mark, but when you're panning, how difficult it can be. There's parts of the car that are nice and sharp in focus, and then the very front of the car is less so. So that could actually be a depth of field thing, that the back of the car is sharper than the front. But still, overall, that one, as a panning shot, nicely composed, nicely framed. A little bit of vignetting that I guess you've added to put the emphasis in on the car. What is that? It says it's sponsored by Mitsubishi, but I don't think so. Mitsubishi and Pirelli and whatever, but that's I think that works really nicely. And Daikin, so it's well air conditioned. Very good. Okay. This one, we had a lot of these kind of shots of cars that have been left to decay. I included this one of Pete's for a couple of reasons. I thought it's almost hidden is cool. The contrast of the red and the green is cool. And I'm pretty sure that's an XJS Jag, and I always wanted one of them, except they were total mechanical bombs. Well, more electrical than mechanical, but still.
I mean, there you go. You could just get it. It's right there in all that greenery. It seems like nobody wants it.
I tell you what, if it meant that I could safely get out of this house at the moment and go hack away the vines, I probably would do it. But no. The only thing that could be stronger is maybe if you had the opportunity to get a higher vantage point to be able to come on, fat fingers, to come in even more on it. Screw it, let's just crop it then. And, bring it right in on all of this greenery. Again, the perspective would obviously change if you got up higher and zoomed. But to bring it right into a frame, that's more than I meant. That's maybe right in tight like that could even work better. For those who...
Why is the car just left there, though? That's so suspicious. All right, sorry. I was thinking like backstory.
As you cross Australia or America or anywhere, there's so many cars that are just dumped. Often the price of having a car towed away, it's not worth it. And where, I find it difficult when I upgrade my laptop to know what do I do with my old one. Where do you just throw an old car?
Yeah, that is true.
You grind the plates away and then you just leave it on the street. Or if you have a yard, you
what
just
do you
chuck
do
it
with an old laptop, actually?
I I'm kind of terrible in that I replace them when they're not that old, so mine are normally still sellable. But old ones, we used to just take them out in the yard with shotguns and have some fun, you know.
Yeah, I can't do that here. But that does sound like fun.
Jersey has pretty lax gun laws. You could totally do that. Compared to New
Uh-uh.
York,
You can't do anything in Jersey.
my
Jersey is
Jersey
like,
friend has a whole arsenal of guns. Go around to his place. Take your old laptops.
what?
Maybe
I
not in
don't
your
know.
backyard. Okay. Let's take a look at this car, which is named after one of my favorite Rolexes, the Daytona. Cool.
This car is fire. Sorry. It's
Crickets.
lit.
Wow. Am I really dark? I think the exposure has changed since I came in here before, and I feel like I'm quite darkly lit at the moment. Or it could be me against this fiery lit, whatever other Gen Y. What generation are you actually, Steph?
Uh, I am a millennial, so that is hold on. Gen Y?
Ah, okay. So I think a
Yeah.
little in closer on this one works nicely. The exposure is lit, as the kids would say, or as Steph would say. I don't even know what that car is, but I think it's a nice shot, and you obviously went to some effort, so nicely done. Would you drive one of them? I reckon if you took the flames away, it probably looks like a grandpa's car. I don't think it's that aggressive looking without the fire.
Yeah, I would want to see it without the flames, but yeah.
Still, cool. Thank you, Randy.
Mhm.
This one, am I zoomed out on this one? There we go, from Renee Bernal. Now, I chose this one because I thought it was so different from all the others, but thinking about, so I think this would be a really powerful shot if it weren't for the Land Cruiser there in the side of the frame. If you see so I'm reading into this what isn't necessarily there. I appreciate that. But if you look at this as he is a father and his child, and maybe they're living out of the car, and the car is how he runs his business, and it kind of puts a different spin on it rather than just being a plaything as being so many people's lifeblood. So I felt the overall scene here worked nicely. It may still just be a grab shot. It may be me reading more into it than there really is, but I think this one works nicely overall. What do you think?
I like it has a story. There's more to it than just a car. I want to know more.
You're much more succinct than me. Is Renee in the chat? Okay. Let's take a couple more. I just heard my dinner arrive, so, you know. This one from Rule Adams. So, this is a great car, a thought out shot, a great time of day, overall a beautiful shot, but it's just out of focus. You know, you don't want to be that guy who's just focused on technical stuff, but the back corner of the car is in focus, the antenna is in focus, the wing mirrors are barely, and the front of the car is out of focus. So
I mean, focus on the booty.
Focus on the whatty?
On the booty of the car.
I misheard you. I was thinking back to the early one. I thought you said the woody.
Oh.
Goodness gracious. So yeah, unfortunately I don't think that one you got the most out of it. Hopefully you took a few different shots there and got some different shots in terms of where your focus point was. Hey, don't look. Kate just got the dinner and I'm trying to surprise us. I told her not to check the email to see what I'd ordered, and now she's picked it up from the deliveryman. So I think that's so close. Hopefully you got some other shots in that where you got the focus right on. Ricardo. So we've all seen this kind of thing, right? I included this because it feels gritty, it feels real, and it kind of could be one of those storage war things where people find this old classic Cadillac or something that's been
Or a
left
garage park or like garage lot.
that turns out to be something really special. So, and I just overall I thought again the aesthetic worked on this one. This one from Steven Italiano. Now I included this one because it looks like, I'm guessing this may be also in Australia. I don't know, but that looks like a GTS Monaro, which is an Australian car, and super aggressive. I think that's the kind of car I would love to go and take out, like that previous one we saw, and do a dedicated shoot, rather than having it with all of the shit in the frame like we have here. But I like it. It's kind of interesting that the next one has the exact same wheels on it and looks like a pretty similar model as well. Yeah, I think it does look like it's a bit of a grab shot, and this is more of the car than the overall image. And Tim Vandenbrunten first.
I like this one.
You just like Porsches. We've established that.
Oh, is that it? I know. I just like it because of the reflection of the trees in the cars.
I like that too. So that's why I chose it. You see the one leaf on the top center of the window? So this looks intentional. You can barely make out the photographer in the frame. It's a nicely put together shot. It shows off the paint job. It shows off, you've got the wing up, even though it's unnecessary. It shows the form of the car. I think it's a really nice overall shot. And the framing works. This one from Tobias. This is one again where I almost didn't include it. It does feel like a grab shot. It does feel the exposure's a bit off. I think you've had to pull the highlights back on this one. But the element that, it does look like it was just two guys on a road trip with one of their sons, saw this cool car, an old Stingray, and decided to stop and get a shot of it. And, you were there to witness it. The only thing that kind of lifts it is the fact that with the son and the father and admiring the car together, it kind of tells that story, which again makes me feel nostalgic, which I liked. And I had a chance to buy a car like that, and I didn't. I still regret it. And that is actually our last one, I think.
Oh.
Am I incorrect? Did I send you more than that?
Oh, no. It was like, it's a lot of cars.
It is. So I'm going to go through and choose some winners right now whilst we answer some questions. So let me jump in and choose a question that Steph has to answer whilst I choose out a winner. So Art of Women is saying, yes, it's a HQ Monaro. I thought so. Beast of a car.
How do you say Porsche in like plural?
Do we have any German speakers? How do you say Porsche or Porsche? And how do you say the plural of Porsche or Porsche? Okay, so Steph, if you don't mind, take a look through the comments and choose out a question for yourself and answer. And I'm going to choose out some winners here.
Okay, what you guys got for me?
What you got?
What you got? What you got? Porsche? Add an as Porsches? Like that? I'm gonna assume Porsches. Yeah? Non-user Porsche and Porsches. Oh, okay. Okay. Alright. Let's see. Because if I can't find any questions, I'm going to just start talking about random stuff.
Quick, people, hit her with a question. I just want a quick minute so I can choose the winners here. We had so many great entries, I don't want to do it on the fly.
E? I think everyone's just trying to help me pronounce.
Porsche. It's a Porsche. Oh, I always wanted a Porsche.
Oh, the image of the buggy was in Port Augusta, South Australia. Ah, Porqué? No, it's not. That's a lie. Oh my God. You guys.
You guys.
See, they're just helping me out with like poor. So it's Porsche, not Porsche.
Poor
Oh my God,
J.
now I'm so confused.
Poor J,
What did I
maybe.
say before? Porsche?
It's a soft J, like yogging.
So I just stick with English.
Okay.
Okay, sorry. I'll focus on like looking for a question. Da, da, da.
Sorry, guys. I'm going to be 30 seconds and then done.
I'm glad that we actually answered a lot of these already.
Come on, guys. Level up your question asking game.
Oh, have you thought of writing a script that takes social distancing into effect, keeping everyone 6 feet apart? That's hard. Okay, so we thought about it, but the thing is, like, I personally don't like taking, like, I get it. Going with the trend is a good way to kind of get your content out there, and it's easy marketing, and it's easy to address what's going on. I don't want to force it unless an idea actually comes to me, like, naturally. I don't, like, if there was an idea that would kind of like easily flow, then I would be able to write a script for the situation, but I'm not going to force it just because it's an easy, like, oh yeah, trending, let's hit up that trend.
Yeah.
So, oh, now all the questions start moving. Where do I move to in
let's
Jersey?
I'm going to get to those questions. I chose my winners, so let's answer. We'll show the winners and then we'll come back to it. So first of all, I have chosen out 3 winners and 3 runners up. So first of all, our this guy, our runners up. You guys can choose. I'll email all of you, but so basically, my take control of the light, educating Tina, off-camera flash guide, posing guide, any of those ones. We have. Let me switch over. This shot from Renee. And what's going on? Why aren't you moving for me? This one from Randy. That's actually a winner. That's actually a winner. This shot from Danny. So that's our 3 runners up. And then our winners can choose basically any of the courses, including the new natural light one and the implied series, or the wedding one that Steph and I shot together. This one from Brian Argyle. This one from Eric. I think that's super creative. And then the one from Jess and Joe. I think that's such a great shot. Nicely done to both of you. And thank you all for entering. We had so many great shots, so thank you for that. So let's choose out 2 or 3 more questions, and then I think an hour and a half is plenty long for this kind of a thing. And reminder, so next week, Steph, what is our theme?
Our theme is, oh my God, I forgot it already. Sorry, too much beer.
Oh my God.
Juan,
Hard light.
Juan's just putting it in here.
Hard light. So,
oh yeah, hard light.
Steph, what are your thoughts on MMA?
MMA. I don't think I would be able to do that. That's just not my realm. I like doing more traditional martial arts, and MMA is too much brawlish for me personally, but I love watching it. It's cool. And props to everybody. Our school dropouts, we were originally going to be hired out to cover some events for MMA fights, but because of the pandemic, we are not able to at the moment. So hopefully after everything is done, we could get back to that, because interviewing and talking to these MMA fighters is a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah?
And go to those events. So it's cool.
Nice. Couple more. have you seen or do you have a favorite zombie apocalypse outbreak ... movie or show?
I I think my favorite movie is probably, I don't like scary movies for one, but I do like Train to Busan. It's really good. I like it. And the zombies are actually really terrifying in that. And just the whole idea, everything about that movie is just so good. And I heard that they're trying to do a sequel, but I don't know how that's gonna go.
So that must be Korean then.
Yeah.
Have you seen Kingdom?
I haven't, but I heard a lot of good things about it and I do want to see that. Just haven't had the time to. Surprisingly. Like, how do I have
So
no time?
we watched that
Um,
one. And to Shell, who asked about good movies, I would say, yeah, Kingdom, sorry, was a good one. There's so much good Korean stuff on Netflix now, both series and movies. Did you watch Alhambra?
no, I haven't. I did watch Parasite though, finally.
What you think?
It was it was good. And then I saw, because I follow like indie filmmakers like Instagram. There's like several accounts that just talk about like before and afters, like post production and just like indie film stuff. And there was a video clip of how they actually filmed Parasite, and a lot of it was green screen. And I was like, what the heck? You can't even tell, but that's really cool how they
Wow.
combine CGI with real life.
Huh, that's surprising. What was the why did they need to use CGI?
I have no idea. I think it's just
Like what
because of
what
like certain
shots did they
sets.
need to use it with?
Um, like the walking shots actually, like them walking and then like next to the buildings, they CGI the building in. Like
Okay. Seems
it's I have to find it and like show you, but it's really interesting and they like just the scene with the flood that's happening like
Oh,
in
that
there
one makes
like
sense. Yeah, yeah.
how do you
No
how do you do
spoilers.
that? That's
No spoilers. That's not integral to the story, though. In the chat, let us know what are some of the favorite movies that you guys have seen recently. And let's see if this works. I should now have us with able to still hear us and the watch on screen. As we wrap up, I thought I'd put them back up because they weren't on screen as we were looking at it before. Our sponsor for the week is Aventi. They've got their A10 watch up on Indiegogo. Check it out. Gonna take one or two last questions here. Yeah, exactly. Nailed it. Nicely done.
sweet.
And then for me is gonna be that. Boom. Actually, I could just put it on my wrist. Oh, goodness. You really want me to
Oh,
get hurt? So here's Tyson, everyone. And there's a good chance that I'm about to get properly. Why would you bring her to me? Oh, she is angry and I am scared.
we
You
might
know,
see it
after
live.
this, she's giving me a stare down. You know, when she looks at me like that, that's not a why did you do that? That's a should I come over and smack you in the face look that she just gave me. Why would you do that? What did I do wrong? I thought we've been getting along so well. What? You guys just witnessed spousal abuse. Jeez. She was named Tyson for a reason. I'm bleeding now. Goodness, obviously I didn't order the right dinner. Phew.
Oh my God.
You will witnesses. I'm going to make sure this was not deleted. On that, I'm going to end the stream, contact my
Yeah.
pastor, and enter a little bit of couples therapy. That's from. Oh, have you seen Kim's Convenience?
Yes. Love it.
You've seen all of it.
Yes.
That's why I was
Alpha, I
thinking.
wish, as weird as it sounds, I wish he was my dad.
That's why we have Yobo in the room.
Oh, Yobo.
And that's why I just mentioned Pastor Nina. We were just talking about the Jesus. Anyway, if you haven't seen
See, guys,
Kim's
this is the
Convenience,
stupid.
guys, this is not stupid. I'm being serious. Anyway, thank you guys for joining in. Hope you've enjoyed this. Thanks to Dion for the beer. Get your highlight shots in for next week. We'll be live again on Monday just to do a casual Q&A. Yeah, thank you, Steph. It's always lovely to see you. Hopefully it'll be in person soon. Thank you to everyone who submitted and joined in with the chat. Huge thanks to Tom and to Juan for moderating the chat. And to everyone else in the room, it's just Steph and I weirdly chatting to a camera if you're not here to get involved. So thank you very much. And thank you to Aventi for sponsoring as well. We'll see you next week. We'll see you on Monday. Hope you have a great weekend.
Well, bye guys.
Ciao.